Mid90s is a film that is the directorial debut of Jonah Hill. That's right, the Jonah Hill from movies such as Superbad, 21 Jump Street, as well as more serious movies such as Moneyball and Wolf of Wall Street, directed by Martin Scorsese, the Martin Scorsese. So Jonah Hill has a wide career. He's done a lot of silly comedy movies. He's done some more serious Oscar type movies, and now he's trying to make movies himself. And I have to say, this movie is actually pretty good. It's pretty decent, at least. I should also mention that this movie is shot in the 4:3 aspect ratio. So rather than widescreen like this, it's more like this, like how movies were in the 90s on VHS on those square TVs. And this didn't really bother me. I still was able to enjoy the movie despite the lack of screen real estate, and for stylistic purposes, it does work for the movie. This movie also has a really cool soundtrack. There's a lot of interesting 90s songs, lots of rap, hip-hop, Public Enemy, DMX, LL Cool J. There's also a lot of original music from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They're from 9 Inch Nails, but they now do a lot of movie soundtracks, so they actually did the soundtrack for The Social Network, and they won an Oscar for that. They did one for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and they won a Grammy for that one. They also did Gone Girl, and they do a lot of music in this movie. It's a lot of instrumental, and it really does help set the tone for the film. And there's also some really interesting obscure tracks I've never heard of before, so I'm just going to play a few of them right now. So yeah, some really cool songs for sure. So the mom in this movie is played by Katherine Waterston. She's in movies such as Inherent Vice, Fantastic Beast, Steve Jobs. She probably has the most credits of anyone in this film. Our lead character is this guy, Sonny Suljic, and I looked up his filmography, and he was actually the voice of Atreus in the new God of War game. So who would have funked that? That's pretty cool. His brother in the movie is played by Lucas Hedges, who was in Lady Bird and Manchester by the Sea. And the other characters in this movie, the friend characters, they have all pretty unknowns. A lot of them don't have a lot of credits, so there's a lot of brand new unknown faces in this movie. Our lead character is this guy, Stevie, and he comes from a troubled home where his brother beats him up, and his mom, she's in the picture, but sometimes she's out doing her own things, and she doesn't have much time to really devote to her kids as much anymore. And she's also dating and trying to see other guys, so that's sometimes causing some strain in that family relationship. So this Stevie, he decides to take solace on the streets, and he meets a group of skateboarding kids. So Stevie's 13 years old in the movie, and he sees these kids skateboarding around, and to him, they are just so cool. So he goes to the skateboard shop where one of the kids works, and a lot of them all hang out, and he befriends them. Some of these kids are a lot older, maybe nearing the end of high school, but it's kind of a wide variety of group, and a lot of the movie is just them hanging out and having fun. It reminds me a lot of the movie Dazed and Confused, and how it's just kind of a lot of chilling out and friends shooting the shit. This movie is called the Mid90s, and it's set somewhere in the mid-90s. We see a lot of Super Nintendo, the kids wearing a Street Fighter t-shirt. There's lots of music from the era, posters on the wall, lots of 90s memorabilia sporadically placed throughout this movie. So it's really fun watching these group of friends hang out. Now, I don't relate to the skateboarding aspect of it. I tried skateboarding. I fall constantly right away. But I do relate to just being with friends and having that camaraderie. And I think anyone can take that out of this movie and enjoy that relationship. And we see that a lot of these kids in this movie, a lot of them have troubled homes, and this friendship away from their families among their group of friends is really what keeps them going and keeps them together. So we see a lot of fun these kids get up to, skateboarding in various places, going to various parties, hanging out. At one scene, they're at a party, and Stevie sort of is talking to this girl, and things start escalating, and he has his first sexual experience, and that was just a really fun, awkward scene, and I think very realistic, where you see after the fact, he's with his group of guy friends, and they're talking about what happened, and then she's with her group of girlfriends, and they're talking about what happened. So really fun stuff. But this movie ends very abruptly. Frankly, I don't think Jonah Hill knew how to end this movie. He had a good buddy adventure going on, but then he kind of just ended it. He didn't really have an ending. And this is an hour and 25-minute movie. That's a short movie. You definitely could have added another 10 or 20 minutes, maybe. So that is a big knock against this movie, but it is an enjoyable experience to get through, and I had a good time with it. I would give this film a 7.5 out of 10, and I think it is worth watching.